Hello, everybody. Or should I say shalom? How are you? I hope y'all are doing well. I believe tonight's topic is going to be a good one, a sensitive one, especially for myself, because I'm definitely going to open myself up even more and just, you know, share some things with you. So tonight we're talking about how anger and bitterness can lead to a life of terror. Trust me when I tell you, people who hold in anger and bitterness and wrath and malice, their lives are not pleasant at all. They don't live the best life. Oftentimes, they can't even sleep at night. They can't rest. People who are full of anger and wrath and bitterness oftentimes are so anxious. They're frustrated. They're always on edge. The smallest things can tick them off. And sometimes they just lash out for no reason. A lot of times they take their frustrations out on other people, especially those that love them. They always have evil intent towards other people. They have really nothing negative to say about anything. Their outlook on life is so just disgruntled. It's so just, out there. It's just bad. They have such a negative energy, such a negative vibe. People who are like that. They don't have a pleasant life. Sometimes people like that are eager to die, but can't. And it's sad. But let's get into the scripture. We're going to go to the book of Yasher, chapter 76. And we're going to be talking about a Pharaoh who had so much anger towards the people of Yasharel, and how his anger led to a life that, I wouldn't want anyone to have, not even my enemies. So I'm going to go to verse 27. The book of Yasher 76, verse 27 says, "Still, his anger," talking about the Pharaoh, "did not turn from them, and the hand of Pharaoh was still stretched out against the children of Yasharel. And Pharaoh hardened his neck before Yahuwah, and he increased his yoke over the children of Yasharel, and embittered their lives with all manner of hard work." 28. "And when Yahuwah had afflicted the plague upon Pharaoh, king of Mitzrayim, he asked his wise men and sorcerers to cure him. And his wise men and sorcerers said unto them that if the blood of little children were put into the wounds, he will be healed." So here it is now. This Pharaoh, he was smitten by Yahuwah. He was afflicted with a plague of leprosy. And this was on his entire body. And this was because of the treatment that he was doing to Yasharel. This was the penalty of how he was acting. And yet, in that pain, in that affliction, he yet grew more angry and more bitter with the people of Yasharel. I have seen this happen to people. I used to work in the hospital, and I used to see people so mad and frustrated. Now they're bedbound in the hospital, sick. Some people worse than others. And yet, in that hospital room, it's so gloomy, it's so dark. Because that person is just so mad, so angry. And I'm telling you, that those were some of the hardest patients to work with. Rude to nurses, rude to doctors. And any time someone came in there to just check on them, there was always a negative response, like they were just ugly on the inside. And what came out of their mouth some of the worst things you can say to anyone. And so this Pharaoh had this same thing. Wouldn't turn to Yahuwah, wouldn't repent. I'm gonna skip down to verse 33. Saying, but Yahuwah hearkened not to the physicians of the king of Misraim, and the plague went on increasing mightily. And Pharaoh was 10 years afflicted with that plague. Still, check this out, still the heart of Pharaoh was more hardened against the children of Yasharel. And at the end of 10 years, Yahuwah continued to afflict Pharaoh with destructive plagues. Yahuwah smote him with a bad tumor and sickness at the stomach, and that plague turned to a severe boil. See, listen. 10 years. Now, there are people who've been holding anger and bitterness in themselves longer than that. And then you see how, I'm telling you something right now. People with that, it shows on their body. A lot of times their bodies begin to rot, their bodies break down. And, I'm not a medical professional, but I just looked up some things of what anger and bitterness can do to the body. And some of the things it can do, it can cause prolonged mental and emotional pain. It can disrupt sleeping patterns. It can disrupt the appetite. It can increase heart rate. It can increase your blood pressure. Those who are married, who have anger and bitterness towards their spouse, or just anger and bitterness to anything else, it can disrupt their sex drive, and they won't even want to be intimate with their spouse. Like, the poison that's on the inside of them, it eats at their heart. It eats at the inside of their body. See, this is what it can do to you. It can cause sickness even to the stomach. It can be so severe on a person, and yet, for whatever reason, they won't let it go. I tell you, man, when I go to the grocery store, I grieve in my heart a lot. Because, I just watch people, and people are walking around with mean, tight faces, like they're just mad at the entire world. Now, I know that there's hard times going on. A lot of people are struggling financially. I mean, yes, I come on here smiling, and, I have a lot of joy, but, I feel it sometimes too. But I guess the difference is with me and you, with some of us who love Yahuwah, is that He is our joy, He is our strength, and we believe and trust in Him that He will meet every need. But for those out there who don't know Yahuwah, who don't trust and believe in Him, they will walk around with that anger. And I can remember just last week when I went to the grocery store, there's one lady that came in, and I could just see it all over her, and she can barely walk. It seemed like she had like a skin issue or whatnot, and her face was so, I can't even describe the look on her face, but it was so much anger. She was so mad that I believe if I would have just spoke to her and gave her like a very positive and sweet greeting, she probably would have cussed me out. Seriously. And she would just, and she had this stern look on her face. And like, man, and I just like, man, like, I don't know what was going on with her, and she might have been dealing with a lot, but it's just sad. And seeing this about this Pharaoh, this sickness continues to multiply, but yet he continues to have this anger towards the children of Yasharel. And I gotta say this to you. Is there anything that you are holding on the inside? Whether it's a little or a lot. Are you holding any anger or bitterness towards a loved one? Are you still upset about how a former friend treated you, or a relative, or how you were mishandled at work, or how somebody cheated you as far as business wise, or how just some rude driver, cut you off. Are you upset about the person that raped you? Are you still holding that in? Are you still holding anger in about the person that physically abused you, verbally abused you? Are you still holding that in? If you are, it's time to do a self-check. Trust me, I had to do one myself. I'm gonna share something with you. And Yahuwah brought this to my attention. Oftentimes, I will have dreams about different individuals that did me wrong in the past. And all of the dreams were the same. In all of the dreams, I was fighting with that person, or at least fighting with the evil spirit that person. But it was always the silhouette of that person, right? And for quite some time, couldn't understand it. And I kid you not, before I did this video, Yahuwah brought it to my attention that when I was having those dreams about all those people in the past that hurt me, from, former pastor, my mother's ex-husband, how he, because I wasn't his child, the way he treated me when he would chastise me, it would just seem like it was such, much more severe. And I had been angry with him for a while. My father-in-law, things that he said to me, things that he did to me, the way he treated me, and all these dreams that I had about these individuals. And Yahuwah showed it to me. I was having those dreams of fighting them because I was still holding something against them. There was still anger. And so in dreams, I'm still fighting them. Now, they're all living their life. But yet, here I am still fighting with them. And so, I kid you not, before I even did this video, I had to let it go. I had to, even though they may never say, apologize to me, even though they may never approach me and say, I was wrong for how I did you or what I said to you, and that's all right. Because at the end, it's not about them, it's about me. And so I had to confess that. I'm being honest with you guys, I had to literally give it up. I had to tell you who to pluck that out of me, because I don't want nothing on the inside to tear me apart, to have a place in this vessel, in this temple where the Ruach HaKodesh dwells. I want nothing that represents that. I don't want to have a life of terror because of something that I'm holding in about things or someone treated me in the past. Even, when I was molested as a child, at the age of, it happened twice actually. I was molested by a teenage girl who used to babysit, or my mom would work overnight, and her husband was, in college at night. And I was about, I want to say 4, 5, around that age. And every time she came to babysit, for whatever reason, she always came to, she never messed with my younger brother, but she always bothered me. And when I didn't want to do certain things, she would slap me. She would, punch me in the stomach. She would, be so aggressive with me sexually. Even at one point forced me to do oral sex on her. Yeah. And for a while, I was angry with her. For a while, I was bitter with her. For a while, I was so upset because of that happening to me as a little boy. I was defiled. My innocence was taken. And I had to forgive her. I had to let that go. And this is how I knew that I let it go. In 2017, actually, I ran into her. I didn't know it at first, but when I was working for the Department of Social Services in my local county, she actually came in to get assistance. And, we were talking, and, we would talk about, a place where, you know, Tallahassee, where I spent a lot of my childhood, and we started talking about different things that were there, different streets, just, things that we did as a child. And she said a couple of names that I knew as a child. And as I looked at her, I kid you not, it was like a whole movie flash before my eyes. And it was the same girl. And I saw the younger version of her that used to molest me. I'm looking at her, but it's like I'm not seeing her. I'm just seeing this whole movie before me. And right then and there, I could have acted a certain way, but I didn't. I actually continued to assist her, help her get whatever she needed. And, she left. But I remember going to the bathroom after that, and I cried for about at least 10, 15 minutes. I wept bitterly, because I'm like, man, I was just face to face with the woman that molested me as a child, and I did not act in a certain way. That's how I knew that I was over it and that I had healed from it. But, I got molested again at the age of 8 by a cousin that used to babysit, when I was younger at that time. And just making a long story short, I remember he had me downstairs, and he started saying different, threatening things to intimidate me. And, I'm 8 years old, and at that time I was small, like skinny little kid. And so I was scared of him. So I laid there. I did what he told me to do. And all I can remember is he got on top of me, and he handled his business. And I thought it would never end. I kid you not. I felt I felt so disgusting at the time. I did. And I'm just like, why is he doing this to me? And I was in so much pain, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, why is he still going? And he actually released in me. And I remember, going upstairs, and I'm just cleaning myself, and I was in utter shock, because I'm like, man, what just happened? And from that day, I was angry with him. I really did not let it go until last year. Actually, no, a few years ago, in 2020. I came to realization, this person, I don't know if he's still alive or not, but if he is, he's living his life, and I'm still holding this. I had to let it go, because it was still causing me prolonged mental and emotional pain. And there were nights that I had disrupted sleep. And I remember even in the beginning of my marriage, it affected my marriage, because, of that happening. And yes, I couldn't watch, certain movies where, I would see a little kid getting abused or raped, because it would just do something to me. I had nightmares about it for a long time. And so I lived a life of terror. Because of that, I held on to that. Well, I can say today, I will no longer hold on to that. I am free from that. Because I said to myself, I'm not going to allow the rapist to continue to rape me, even though he's wherever he is. But I'm still here alive, and I have to live. And I have to, continue to move forward, forgive that person, and allow Yahuwah to love me. And that's where I am. So I shared those with you because, I know what it's like to be angry and bitter and have a life full of terror and be sick on the inside, because I'm still holding on to that. The same thing what this king did. I want to jump down, still in the book of Yasher, 76. And I want to read verse 62. I'm going to start at 61. No, actually 62. This is the Pharaoh. And it said, he died with terror and with shame, and his son Adikam reigned in his place. He died with terror and shame. All that bitterness he had inside. And in that bitterness and the anger, he still would mistreat people. He still mishandled Yasharel. He still burdened them. He still enslaved them. He still hurt and harmed them. And people are even like that today. And they don't even realize if they continue to hold that in, they would encounter the same type of death. They would die in terror and they would die in shame. Like, I'm going to read something else. I'm going to go up. I'm going to read verse 58. It said, when the king saw that his sickness had greatly strengthened himself over him, he ordered his son Adikam to be brought to him, and they made him king over the land in this place. And at the end of 3 years, the king died in shame, disgrace, and disgust. His servants carried him and buried him in the sepulchre of the kings of the Mitzrayim and Zoan, Mitzrayim. But they embalmed him not as usual with the kings, for his flesh was putrid, and they could not approach to embalm him on account of the stench, so they buried him in haste. Look at that. See, when people have that on the inside, they don't even understand. A stench will, this stuff shows on the outside. When they're holding all this on the inside, it shows on the outside. It shows on the body. It shows in their face. It said a stench came from him. Even, like, man, he couldn't even be properly buried because of that. You know anybody like that? You know, and I say all that to say this, Yasharel, Mashpika, because we may not agree on everything, but we must come together in Yahuwah and be one with Yahuwah. We already have enough against us on the left and the right. So we don't need to fight with each other. We don't need to have anger and bitterness with each other. We're brothers and sisters in Yahuwah. You know, and so I do want to say this. If any of you watching this video, if I've offended you, if I've said anything in previous videos that might have hurt you, that might have caused you to be angry with me, and you really don't know how to release it, if I've said anything that caused you to be bitter with me, upset, have any type of malice, forgive me. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't want to cause that in you. Please forgive me. And if I have offended you or hurt you or angered you, reach out to me. Shoot me an email and let's talk about it. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't want you to have that on the inside of you. And I don't want you to die of, you know, a death of terror and disgust and shame. Because I surely don't want it for myself. You know what I'm saying? And this is why I shared those stories with you, you know, because I had to let that go. But let's look at what, you know, what bitterness can do to you. I mean, let's look at what Yahuwah says about all of this. In the book of Ephesians 4:31, it says, let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. Malice means intention or desire to do evil. And so what Yahuwah is saying all that stuff, all that poison, get rid of it. Get rid of it. Don't hold on to it. I'll tell you why. You cannot serve Yahuwah effectively if you're holding on to all that stuff. You can't love people right if you're holding on to anger, to bitterness, to wrath, to clamor. If you're always speaking evil, you can't serve right. You can't love right. You can't handle people right. You just can't. And anyone who are trying to juggle those, you're a hypocrite and you're wrong. You cannot do it. Yahuwah will not, he will not accept any of your service if you're holding any of that stuff on the inside. That's why he's saying, put it away from you. Put it away. Get rid of it. Don't hold it. Don't cling to it. Don't let it tear you up. He's saying put it away. In the book of Colossians 3 and verse 8, it says, but now ye also put off all these: anger, wrath, malice, blasphemy, filthy communication out of your mouth. So again, he will say, put it all away. Let it go. Because at the end of the day, who is it hurting the most? If you're holding on to it, it's hurting you. And when you holding that stuff, you push others away who care about you, who love you. So put it away. Because I'm going to tell you, when a person is walking in anger, check this out. In Ecclesiastes 7 and 9, it says this. It says, be not hasty in your ruach to be angry, for anger rests in the bosom of fools. So if you hold that inside, you're a fool. You become foolish. And you will do things foolishly. You will do things hastily. You will make irrational decisions. They can hurt you. They can hurt your family. They can hurt your home. It can cause you to lose everything. See who was saying, put it away. Don't let it eat you up. Just don't do it. There's one more thing I'm going to read in the book of Sirach, which is Ecclesiasticus. It is chapter 40, verses 5 through 8. And let me find it. Oh my goodness. Hold on. I'm sorry, y'all. Okay, there we go. I said chapter 40, right? All right. Ecclesiastes chapter 40, verses 5 through 8. It says this. It says, wrath and envy, trouble and unquietness, fear of death and anger and strife, and in the time of rest upon his bed, his night's sleep, do change his knowledge. A little or nothing is his rest, and afterward he is in his sleep, as in the day of keeping watch, troubled in the vision of his heart, as if he were escaped out of battle. And when all is safe, he awakens and marvels that the fear was nothing. See, this is, verse 8. Such things happen to all flesh, both man and beast, and that is sevenfold more upon sinners. So, what those scriptures are saying is people who are holding that on the inside, they have little to no rest. And when they do sleep, they're always sleeping in fear. And then when they wake up and realize that there is nothing to fear, they come to themselves and realize what they're scared about. But then they go right back into the anger. They go right back into the bitterness, and they carry it with them in their sleep. They're always troubled in their heart in visions. Remember when I was telling you about the dreams I would have about different people that hurt me in the past, and I was having dreams about fighting them? That's what that's talking about. There will always be a troubling sleep. You'll always have troubling visions because you're holding that stuff in. You'll always feel like you're trying to escape a battle. You'll always feel like you're in battle. People who are like that, a lot of times, in order for them to sleep, they have to take medication. They have to take sleeping pills. Because they have no peace. They're always at war within themselves. Unquietness. There's never any quietness in them. Like right now, I agree with me and my wife was talking about this, about my father-in-law. Because he has often sent messages, chain messages, talking about he's angry. He's angry. And over the years, we have seen how this anger has taken practically full control of his life. And I don't really want to, get into like his whole life, but just seeing the condition that he is in now, because he won't let go of the anger, he won't let go of that hatred, that wrath, and it's destroying him on the inside and the outside, absolutely destroying him. And no one can say anything to him. He's so combative, you know, and he's fidgety, he's on edge, and anything can just tick him off. And more, it's just it's sad to see. It really is. Anyone who is like that, it's a sad thing. And so I end this video to say this. If you are a person that is holding that on the inside of you, it is time to really pray to Yahuwah, fast and pray, I should say, and really allow Yahuwah to uproot all that out of you. Because I'm telling you, if you die with all of that, you will have to face him. And you will be judged on that. I'm telling you right now, you will not make it in if you're holding that anger and that bitterness. That's why he said, get rid of it. Get rid of it. People have died with heart attacks, severe strokes, because of having anger and bitterness and wrath on the inside of them. People have gotten severely sick, all types of cancers and tumors and diseases in their bodies from holding all that bitterness on the inside. Don't let that be you. You feel me? Don't let it be you. Open your heart up to Yahuwah and confess to him so that he can heal you from all the pain. Release all that anger. I mean, if you got to go to a quiet place and just scream, do it. I've had to do it a few times. You know what I'm saying? But open up to Yahuwah. The one thing that Satan does not want people to have is healing. He hates to see people happy and enjoy. And he will do all he can to make sure that that bitterness stays there. He will bring up past events. He'll bring dreams to you of your past, of past hurts and pains. He will do all he can to make sure that it stays housed within you. But you got to say, no, Hasatan, no more. And you got to bring that to the altar with Yahuwah and say, Yahuwah, here I am. Take all that malice out of me. Take all that hurt. Take all the wrath. Yahuwah, please forgive me for the anger I've had towards this person, towards that person. Let it all go. And watch. and watch how you are set free. And watch how your body begins to change. And the happiness and the joy that comes. Some of you, and I know for a fact the Royal Kokodesh put this in me, said, a lot of you who are waiting for a husband or a wife, you can't get it because you still are hurt. You're still angry. You're still holding on to something that someone did in a past relationship. And you can't let that go because you're still in disbelief. You can't believe that that person did this to you or did that to you. Let it go. Let it go. It's all right. Let it go. Forgive. Be healed. And move forward. And allow Yahuwah to do what he wants to do on the inside. Put on a new man. And then you experience all the fruit of the Ruach. Love, joy, meekness. You will begin to experience the nature of Yahuwah. and you will see him for who he really is. But you can't see him if you're still holding on to that, because when you hold on to that, it clouds your judgment. It makes you blind. It clutters your mind, and it damages your heart. I think I've said enough in this video. May Yahuwah lift up his countenance upon you. May Yahuwah baruch you. May his face shine upon you. And may he give you an abundance of peace. Abundance of peace. Shalom, family. I really love you guys. If Yahuwah will, till next time.